Welcome to Driving Miss Elly. We recently took a look at the first incarnation of Fiat's baby, the 500, a few months back. Today, I am with the car that followed it. This is one of the most recognisable shapes in motoring, the second generation of the 500, built from 1957 until 75. By the late 50s, the amount of people able to afford their first car was growing rapidly in Europe as they recovered from the financial effects of the Second World War. Initially, sales were quite slow as the first of these new 500s were seen as being a bit too basic. But trim levels were soon increased and the 500 really caught on, sales peaking over a decade after its introduction. Often the way with the best designs. Speaking of designs, so I couldn't find an outfit to match this car. I didn't have anything. So I had to make my dress to match the car because I had nothing in my wardrobe. Can you imagine that? So, matching. Anyway, Fiat managed to find homes for nearly 3.9 million of them, as at less than 10 foot long, they were just the thing for getting around the narrow ancient streets of many a European town. This time, Fiat went for the simplicity of an air-cooled engine and placed it at the rear. It's like a scaled-down VW Beetle in that respect. Seating is for 4, but luggage space is limited to what it can fit in its frunk, which is a front trunk. Imagine that, who knew? The 500 was also offered as an estate and a van. Can't imagine what the point of a van that small is, even with its slightly extended wheelbase. But the most exciting variant of the 500 is the Arbath, built from 1963 in collaboration with Karl Arbath, a motor racing designer. These performance-orientated versions had enlarged engines developing up to 37 brake horsepower. This allowed a frightening top speed of nearly 90 miles an hour. Another thing I'd like to add is this is a G-Reg, which means it's 1969. Ooh. During the mid-60s, the suicide doors were replaced with safer conventional ones and a redesigned dashboard with the speedometer in front of the driver that replaced the original centrally mounted instrument. At launch, a 479cc twin-cylinder developing 13 horsepower was used, but a few years later this grew to 499cc. Lifting power to 17 brake horsepower or a heady 21 in the sport model. This engine remained in production to power most 500s up until 1973, when it was replaced for the final 2 years by the new 594cc unit from the Fiat 126. Our 500 here is a 500F from 1969. There's that 69 again. At this time, the F was the entry-level 500 with the 500L or Lusso above it. For the last 2 years of its life, the 500 was on scale alongside its replacement, the 126, a car of the same rear engine layout but with squared-off 70s styling. To begin with, all 500s had a full-length fabric sunroof like the Topolino that we looked at recently. This wasn't to help your suntan, it was to lower production costs as fabric was cheaper than steel. Later on, the rear half of the roof became metal to aid body rigidity. I cannot stress enough how beautiful the interior of this tiny little car is. It is classic Italian styling throughout with this beautiful deep blue, really nice tones of red and cream. It's absolutely stunning. I think I prefer the inside to the outside, but don't tell the owner. There are a lot of similarities in here to the Topolino that we saw a few weeks back. So you've got these very tiny little windscreen wipers, which are similar, and a very tiny little handbrake. You've also got on the main console the central key, so it's not right down the ignition where you would standardly find the start. It's right in the middle, again similar to the Topolino. The one thing that has changed is the steering wheel size. It's big and lovely and still narrow. It's just brilliant, and this massive horn in the middle. I absolutely love it. Just throughout as a passenger and driver, it's comfy, luxurious, not a lot of leg room. But you could probably just add a third person in the back and lie across the back looking all stylish. It just is so pretty. On this channel, we love talking about cars that have appeared in films. The 500 nearly appeared in a massive 60s film. The makers of the Italian job were offered Fiat 500's Abarths and the other cars that they needed, plus some money to use the 500 instead of the Minis. The Italian job reportedly had to pay full price for all but 3 of the Mini Coopers, which were bought at cost price, and what an advert it was for them too. However, Fiat did manage to get their factory shown in the scene on the rooftop test track.
Driving Miss Elly. Mad!
I'm going to kind of repeat a little complaint on a similar kilt to one I did a few weeks ago. These things come to me because obviously I drive my car daily and things happen to me while I'm out and I get really angry. And I'll be la 1 minute and then something will make me angry and then I'm over it. But then I think, you know, I've got to pass this on to you to see if similar things annoy you. So the subject is cyclists. Again, obviously we did the cyclists with no lights at night. However, it's now summer here in the UK, if you can believe it. It'll probably last 2 days and then it'll be gone. But anyway, so I find obviously there are a lot of cyclists out and they go out in a little group cycle, which is awesome, you know, good for you. It's beautiful weather. However, particularly on country roads and narrow back lanes, they'll ride 4 abreast. So instead of hearing a car coming and politely getting into single file, so we have a chance of getting round you safely, they'll ride in a massive group taking up the whole road and you are literally stuck there forever. Just again, I guess this kind of ties in with road manners and cyclists, because we car drivers do like to complain about cyclists. They have as much right to be on the road as we do. But let's just be a little bit mindful. So if you're out in a group cycle, guys, please just get into an orderly queue. It's Britain. We love to queue. So form a queue, let us past easier, and then go back to being in your group. Thanks very much. Thank you once again for joining us on another episode of Driving Miss Elly. If you haven't already, go back and look at some of our previous videos. And I guarantee there are many more awesome cars we've got lined up for you, so stay tuned. On the subject of staying tuned, can you please hit that subscription button on our YouTube channel and the notifications bell, so then you can actually stay tuned. That'd be awesome, and it'd be really cool to have you there. Also, if you want to follow us on our social media channels, you just type in the search bar Driving Miss Elly on Facebook and Instagram, give us a follow, give us a like, and we look forward to seeing you on social media and other regions of the internet. See you next time.